Hello, ladies. Um, I do apologize. I was supposed to be live this morning, but had a doctor's appointment I completely forgot about, so I do apologize. Um, so I'm gonna give it a couple of minutes, like I normally do, just to let a couple of people pop on, and then we will get started talking about the weather fae. So I hope everybody can hear me okay. For those of you popping on, if you could tell me if you hear me okay. Hi, Monica. Can you hear me all right, love? Okay, just making sure. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about weather fae and, um, well, really how they affect us. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So, as the name persists, weather fairies are the ones behind our sunny days that can always turn into a rainstorm in the blink of an eye, or we could have snow and then it'd be sunny and the snow just melts away. Um, So they're the ones that are behind it. Um, I wish I could show you right now. I'm looking out my window and the sun's out, but we have dark rainstorms coming in, so I'm excited. So, okay, the first thing I wanted to talk about were the frost fairies and how important they are in the seasons of our year or the wheel of the year. Um, in the Fae world, the frost fairies are actually known kind of as the bad fairies, the fairies that you don't want. Um, because they don't bring eternal sunshine, they don't bring the flowers, they don't bring the birds, they don't bring new life. They actually kill everything because of the cold. So in the liminal world or the fairy world, they are known as the bad fae because, like I said, everything dies in winter versus the ones that make everything flourish in spring and summer. But without the new life or without the necessary decay, we can't start a new year. Um, and one of the main stories that I found when researching the frost fairies was the Frost Queen. Um, and Father Frost. Father Frost originated in Russia, um, and he was known to kind of be a what's the word I'm looking for? Hi, Crystal. Be safe, love. Don't need you crashing. He was known as kind of like a what's the word I'm looking for? It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm sorry, so sorry, ladies. So he was known to kind of be mischievous when bringing forth the snow and things like that. Um, some of him think of him as a smithing god because he would create things with the snow, like the icicles, um, and things of that nature. With the Frost Queen, she kind of, if you don't know the story, long story short, she ended up taking this boy to her castle and ended up um kind of trying to steal his the warmth in his heart. Um and his friend had to come and bring him back into the warmth and get him back to where he needed to be. So in a sense, yeah, I could see why yes, the Frost Queen, my love. So in a way I could see why the frost fairies are kind of like the bad guys of the Fae world. But again, without them, we couldn't have the Wheel of the Year. You know, we couldn't have Yule. We couldn't have, Mabon. We couldn't have a lot of things because they bring that necessary decay with them. Um, so I mean, I don't consider them bad. I like them. I love the snow. But that's just me. So the next we have the Wind Knots. The Wind Knots are mischievous weather fairies that like to travel on the wind. They can be cruel by bringing tornadoes or ruining a harvest, or they can even cause rivers to break their banks and flood everything, or they could work with the frost fae and bring blizzards to strike where they can. And they come into your home, or they can come into your home through the cracks in your walls and stuff. I'm sorry, ladies, there was a fly. Um, but they can come into the cracks of your home and rattle your house, making it creak. Um, but some are even more sinister than that. By sinister, I will be kind of this, in a sense, will kind of be like a trigger warning, just in case. Um, but some are more sinister as, you know, they tend to fall into the like crazy side for me. Um, there is one I cannot pronounce its name. It is Mazzeinauddu. Um, and they get excited. They are a type of wind fairy. Excuse me, ladies. Yes. Sorry. Thank you. I'm sorry, ladies. Um, so back to what I was saying. They get excited only by the blood of murder victims. Um, and will also bring storms and earthquakes with the blood of that victim. Um, others tend to, um, others are called philites. Yeah, Monica, I was like, what in the world? You're kidding me. But the more I looked into that one, yeah. Um, so forgive me. I'm a bit of a history fanatic. Um, I guess they had a heyday when it came to the cases of Jack the Ripper in London, because there were a lot of murders back then. So, yeah, they must have really had a heyday with that one. Excuse me, ladies, I'm just finishing my tea. Um, Hi Eva, how are you, love? Um, but the others are called pholites, and these ones tend to blend in with the others. Um, they can be mischievous in two ways. So one way that they can be mischievous is they could, back in the day or even now, if you wear a skirt or a dress, their little mischievous butts will put wind up your skirt. Um, others, they are mischievous, or it was believed to be they were mischievous by taking advantage of women, um, and impregnating them with changelings. Um, so that is why I said trigger warning, major trigger warning. I do apologize, ladies, but that is what I found. Um, which I was like, remind me never to, you know, tend to not go out on a windy day. Um, so that is what I have for the wind knots. Again, they are mischievous. Some of them are good, but for the ones that get excited by the blood of murder and the ones that tend to take advantage. Yeah, no. Um, and you'll probably hear that a lot in well, you've probably heard it a lot in a lot of our lives, is you really, really need to be careful with the Fae. I cannot stress that enough. Um, because this is a great example of why you should always be careful with the Fae. Especially if you make a deal or if you want to work with them. Please, please, please do your researches before then, loves. Um, because you never know what you're going to get into until it's too late. So please, please, please be careful. Um, so the next ones we have are fog fairies. Now, here in Texas, we don't really get fog all that often, except for when it heavy rains like it's wanting to do today. Um, so there's a lot of mythology and folklore surrounded by fog. And fog fairies are one of them. So a lot is said about these guys. For example, just learning and leaving. Yeah, I can see I can see where you're going with that one, Monica. Yeah, I was the same way when I first started out, and then I started to dive deeper into them and learn kind of like their way. Um, and a lot of experience comes with like the years that you work with them and stuff. Like I've been working with the Fae now for about 5 years out of the many years that I've been working with magic. I'm trying not to reveal too much because I want to save it for the crone meeting. Or not the crone meeting, the crone interview, my bad. So yeah, 5 years out of the many that I've been practicing and everything else, it gets easier with time. But definitely please do your research on them, please. Um, I guess I could go with like any spiritual works, like with deities, um, dragons for in Crystal's instance, which I'm getting around to, I promise. But it's always good to do research, especially with these guys, because like I said, you never know what you're gonna get into until it's way too late. Um, sorry, back to what I was saying. So a lot is said about these guys. For example, when they show up, they are said to bring the past and the future with them. Um, and it is also said if you walk into their fog, you can lose contact with this world, the physical world, and you can actually end up stepping into the liminal world. Um, it is also said that if you see a gap, it's an entrance into the liminal fairy world. Um, and an important fog uh, fairy that I found really interesting is actually called the uh, it's forgive me, ladies. I'm gonna say it and then I'm gonna spell it and hopefully it makes sense. It's called the tidy, not tidy, Tiddymun or Tidymun. It is Tiddymmun. He is the most important fog fairy. Um, because he is said to control the water and the fog and any diseases that would come through the water and enter through the mists or the fog. Um, People would call on him when the waters rose and flooded their cities and things before drainage was um, brought into practice. So when the waters rose and they'd flood the streets or, it flood the riverbanks or anything like that, people would actually call onto him to kind of calm the waters and put them back where they need to be. Um, so when the water rose into the lands and people would call him, um, he would dispel the water. But if people angered him, it was said that he would still drain the water, but he would also bring illness and disease to children and livestock until the people begged for forgiveness. A good thing to do, like I said, do your research, ladies, please. um, a good thing to do with this one is definitely don't make him mad. Just don't. um, but hi, Kathy. Hello, love. Um, so people would beg him for forgiveness, and when he forgave them, he would actually take away the illnesses from the children and livestock, and all would be forgiven. It was also said that he was a very kind spirit, so a lot did not anger him. Um, so that's always a good thing too. Another thing to do if you find yourself in fog or in a misty part of the woods or something like that early in the morning or even sometimes at night. A good thing to do is when walking in the fog is to note your thoughts. Because they may be giving you clues to the liminal world or to the fairy world, which I found really interesting. And I'm sad that we don't get that much fog here. Like, I'm really sad about it. Excuse me, lady, sorry. Um, so the last couple of things that I have are the rain fairies and some ways to kind of contact them if you're willing and ready. Um, so lastly, the rain fairies, they do draw delights and energies from storms. However, they are not the only fairies that play when it comes to rainstorms or anything like that. Um, they actually can host different elemental spirits in the air within the storm. Um, and as we all know, if you catch yourself out in a rainstorm, the raindrops can actually awaken your spirit and refresh your soul with the rain fairies' help. These fairies are also associated with rainbows. Um, what I found really interesting and cool about that one is rainbows are also a type of portal to the liminal world. Um, portals are also portals. My bad. Leprechauns are also associated with rainbows, and it's said at the end of the rainbow you'll find his gold, and he'll grant you things. Um, but with rain fairies, if you find at the end of the rainbow and you're out in a rainstorm, they will actually take you to their world. So I found that one really interesting. Um, that is pretty much all I have. I know it was a short live and I do apologize. Um, some ways that you can contact them are kind of self-explanatory in a way. Um, for the rain fairies, you could always dance in the summer rains, or you could meditate in a not going outside and putting yourself in harm in a thunderstorm, but you could always meditate in your room and just listen to the energies around you when it comes to thunderstorms and rains. Um, or when it snows and when it finally gets cold, you could actually go outside and connect with the frost fairies by catching snowflakes, playing in the oh, sorry. Um, or even just playing in the snow. And for the fog fairies, what I like to do when we do occasionally get the downpour of our lifetimes, what I like to do is I'll go outside and I'll meditate just a little bit in the fog, and it helps connect that way too. Um, that is all I have for weather fairies. If anybody has any questions, I will be glad to answer them, and I will give you guys a couple minutes. Again, ladies, I do apologize for it being kind of a short live. Um, it it was really interesting about the uh, wind nuts. That one threw me through a ringer because I was like, "What in the world?" Um, so the book that has most of the information that I gathered from is called The Fairy Bible by Teresa Moray. Moray. Forgive me if I pronounced that wrong. This is what it looks like. It's a wonderful little book. Um, it's great for I am so tongue-tied today. I apologize, ladies. Um, it's a great book for beginners, especially if you're wanting to learn the different types of fairies. I know, Kathy, you were the one that sat there and showed me it, and I couldn't resist. Um, maybe I'd have to take a look, but on my giant books of fairy Wicca, I believe they also speak of the weather fae and things like that in them. Um, but this book for sure is amazing. Um, but yeah, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. I will be glad to answer them. Whether it be about the weather fae and how to connect with them, or if you just need a little help with the Fae yourself, I am free to message. You can always message me. Um, and I will be glad to help you. Kathy is also an expert on the Fae, so if you have any questions, maybe ask her. Um, but yeah, if anybody has any questions, I'll give it a couple minutes, and if not, I will catch you guys on the next one, but I'll give it a couple of minutes. Also, I do apologize for any background noise. My house is chaotic this evening. Alright, so if you have any questions, just drop them down below and I will get into them and get you the answers that you need. If not, I will see you guys in the next one. Blessed be my mythical ladies.